So, hello, and welcome to Story Time. Last week on Story Time, we read the first chapter of Chuck, and we were just finding out about our shitty, sniveling little protagonist. And now we're gonna enjoy chapter 2 of our fine tale. So relax and enjoy it. It's dark and starting to rain when I get to the church, and Nico's waiting for somebody to unlock the side door, hugging herself in the cold. "Hold on to these for me," she says, and she hands me a warm fistful of silk. "Just for a couple of hours," she says. "I don't have any pockets." She's wearing a jacket made of some fake orange suede with a bright orange fur collar. The skirt of her flower print dress shows hanging out. No pantyhose. She climbs up the steps to the church door, and her feet are careful and turned sideways in black spike heels. What she hands me is warm and damp. It's her panties. She smiles. Inside the glass doors, a woman pushes a mop around. Nico knocks on the glass and then points at her wristwatch. The woman dunks the mop back in the bucket. She lifts the mop and squeezes it. Then she leaves the mop handle near the doorway, and then fishes a ring of keys out of her smock pocket. While she's unlocking the door, the woman shouts through the glass. "You people are in room 234 tonight," the woman says. "The Sunday school room." By now, more people are in the parking lot. People walk up the steps saying hi, and I stash Nico's panties in my pocket. Behind me, other people hustle the last few steps to catch the door before it swings shut. Believe it or not, you know everybody here. These people are legends. Every single one of these men and women you've heard about for years. In the 1950s, a leading vacuum cleaner tried a little design improvement. It added a spinning propeller, a razor-sharp blade mounted a few inches inside the end of the vacuum hose. Inrushing air would spin the blade, and the blade would chop up any lint or string or pet hair that might clog the hose. At least this was the plan. What happened is a lot of these men raced to the hospital emergency room with their dicks mangled. At least that's the myth. The old urban legend about the surprise party for the pretty housewife, how all her friends and family hid in one room, and when they burst out and yelled, "Happy birthday!" they found her stretched out on the sofa with the family dog licking peanut butter from between her legs. Well, she's real. The legendary woman who gives head to guys who are driving, only the guy loses control of the car and he hits the brakes so hard the woman bites him in half. I know them. Those men and women, they're all here. These people are the reason for every emergency room that has a diamond tip drill, for tapping a hole through the thick bottoms of champagne and soda bottles to relieve the suction. These are the people who come waddling in from the night, saying they tripped and fell on zucchinis and light bulbs and Barbie dolls, the billiard balls, the struggling gerbils. See also the pool cue. See also the teddy bear hamster. They slipped in the shower and fell, bullseye on a greased shampoo bottle. They're always being attacked by a person or persons unknown and assaulted with candles, with baseballs, with hard-boiled eggs, flashlights, and screwdrivers that now need removing. Here are the guys who get stuck in the water inlet port of the whirlpool hot tub. Halfway down the hallway to room 234, Nico pulls me against the wall. She waits until some people have walked past us and says, "I know a place we can go." Everybody else is going into the pastel Sunday school room, and Nico smiles after them. She twirls one finger next to her ear, the international sign language for crazy, and she says, "Losers." She pulls me the other way towards the sign that says women. Among the folks in room 234 is a bogus county health official who calls to quiz 14-year-old girls about the appearances of their vaginas. Here's the leader who gets her stomach pumped, the cheerleader who gets her stomach pumped, and they find a pound of sperm in it. Her name's Luann. The guy in the movie theater with his dick stuck through the bottom of a popcorn box? Well, you can call him Steve. And tonight his sorry ass is sitting around a paint-stained table squeezed into a child's plastic Sunday school chair. All these people you think are a big joke, go ahead. Friggin' laugh your frickin' head off. These are sexual compulsives. All these people you thought were urban legends? Well, they're human. Complete with names and faces, jobs and families, college degrees, arrest records. In the women's room, Nico pulls me down under the cold tile and squats over my hips, digging me out of my pants with her other hand. Nico cups the back of my neck and pulls my face, my open mouth onto hers, her tongue wrestling against my tongue. She's wetting the head of my dog with the pad of her thumb, and she's pushing my jeans down off of my hips, and she lifts the hem of her dress in a curtsy, with her eyes closed and her head tilted back a little. She settles her pubes hard against mine and says something against the side of my neck. And I say, God, you're so beautiful, because for the next few minutes, I can. And Nico pulls back and looks at me and says, what's that supposed to mean? And I say, I don't know. I say, nothing, I guess. I say, never mind. And the tile smells disinfectant and it feels gritty under my butt. The walls go up to an acoustal tile ceiling and the air vents furry with dust and crud. And there's a blood smell from the rusty metal box for used tampons. Your release form, I say. I snap my fingers. Did you bring it? Nico lifts her hips a little and then drops, lifts and settles herself, her head still back, her eyes still closed. She fishes inside the neckline of her dress and brings out a fold of square blue paper and drops it on my chest. And I say, good girl. And I take the pin clipped on my shirt pocket. A little higher each time, Nico lifts her hips and sits down hard, grinding a little front to back with a hand planted on the top of each thigh. She pushes herself up and then drops. Round the world, I say. Round the world, Nico. She opens her eyes maybe halfway and looks down at me, and then she makes a stirring I make a stirring motion with the pen, the way you stir a cup of coffee, even though my clothes, I'm getting the grit of the tile engraved in my back. Round the world now, I say, do it for me, baby. And Nico closes her eyes and gathers her skirt around her waist with both hands, and she settles her weight on my hips. And she swings one foot over my belly, and she swings the other foot around, so she's still on me, but facing my feet. Good, I say, and I unfold the blue paper. I spread it flat against her round humped back, and I sign my name at the bottom on the blank that says sponsor. And through her dress you can feel the thick back of her bra elastic with 5 or 6 little wire hooks, and you can feel her rib bones under a thick layer of muscle. Right now, down the hall in room 234, is the girlfriend of your best friend's cousin, the girl who almost died banging herself on the stick shift of a Ford Pinto after she ate the Spanish fly. Her name is Mandy. There's a guy who snuck into the clinic in a white coat and gave pelvic exams. There's the guy who always lies in his motel room naked on the top of the covers with his morning boner, pretending to sleep until the maids walk in. All those rumored friends of friends of friends, they're all here. The man crippled by the automatic milking machine, his name is Howard. The girl hanging naked from the shower curtain rod, half dead from autoerotic asphyxiation, she's Paula, and she's a sexaholic. Hello, Paula. Give me your subway feelers, your trench coat flashers, the men mounting cameras inside the lip of some women's room toilet bowl, the guy rubbing his semen on the flaps of deposit envelopes at automatic tellers, all the peeping toms, the nymphos, the dirty old men, the restroom lurkers, the handballers, all these sexual boogeymen and women your mom warned you about, all those scary cautionary tales. We're all here, alive and unwell. This is the 12-step world of sexual addiction, compulsive sexual behavior. Every night of the week they meet in the back of a room of some church, in some community center conference room. Every night in every city. You even have virtual meetings on the internet. My best friend Denny, I met him at a sexaholics meeting. Denny had got up to the point where he needed to masturbate 15 times a day just to break even. Anymore, he could barely make a fist, and he was worried about what all the petroleum jelly might be doing to him, in the long term. And he considered changing to some lotion, but anything that made to soften the skin seemed to be counterproductive. Denny and all these men and women you think are so horrible or funny or pathetic, here's where they all let their hair down. And this is where we all go to open up. Here are the prostitutes, the sex criminals, out on a 3-hour release from their minimum security jail, elbow to elbow with the women who love gangbangs and the men who give head in adult bookstores. The hooker reunites with the John here. The molester faces the molested. Nico brings her big wide ass almost to the top of my dog and bangs herself down. Up and then down, riding her guts tight around the length of me, pissing me up and then slamming down, pushing off against my thighs. The muscles of her arms get bigger and bigger. My thighs under each of her hands go numb and white. Now that we know each other, I say, Nico, would you say that you liked me? She turns to look back over her shoulder at me. When you're a doctor, you'll be able to write prescriptions for anything, right? Well, that's if I ever go back to med school. Never underestimate the power of a medical degree for getting you laid. I bring my hands up, each hand opened against the stretched, smooth underside of each thigh, to help lift her, I figure. And she twines her cool, soft fingers through mine. Sleeve tight around my dog. Without looking back, she says, my friends bet me money that you're already married. And I hold her smooth, white ass in my hands. How much, I say. I tell Nico that her friends might be right. The truth is, every son raised by a single mom is pretty much born married. I don't know, but until your mom dies, it seems like all the women in your life can never be more than just your mistress. In the modern Oedipal story, it's the mother who kills the father, and then takes the son. And it's not as if you can divorce your mother, or kill her. And Nico says, what do you mean, all the other women? Jeez, how many are we talking about, she says. I'm glad we used a rubber. And for a complete list of sexual partners, I'd have to check my 4th step, my moral inventory notebook, the complete and relentless history of my addiction. And that is, if I ever go back to complete that damn step. For all those people in room 234 working on their 12 steps in a sexaholics meeting is a valuable, important tool for understanding and recovering from, well, you get the idea. For me, it's a terrific how-to seminar. Tips, techniques, strategies for getting laid that you never dreamed of. Personal contacts. When they tell their stories, these addicts, people are friggin' brilliant. Plus there's jail girls out for 3 hours of sex addict talk therapy. Nico is included in that. Wednesday nights means Nico. Friday nights means Tanya. Sundays means Lisa. Lisa sweats yellow with nicotine, and you can almost put your hand around her waist since her abs are rock hard from coughing. Tanya always smuggles in some rubber sex toys, usually a dildo or a string of latex beads, some sexual equivalent of the prize in a box of cereal. The old rule about how a thing of beauty is a joy forever, in my experience, even the most beauteous thing is only a joy for about 3 hours tops. After that, she'll want to tell you all about her childhood traumas. Part of meeting these jail girls is so sweet to look at your watch and know she'll be behind bars in about half an hour. It's a Cinderella story, only at midnight she turns back into a fugitive and goes to jail. It's not that I don't love these women. I love them just as much as you love a magazine centerfold, a fuck video, an adult website, and for sure, for a sexaholic, that can be a bucket of love. And it's not that Nico loves me much either. This isn't so much romance as it is an opportunity. You put 20 sexaholics around a table night after night and don't be surprised. Plus the sexaholic recovery books they sell here, it's every way you always wanted to get laid but didn't know how. Of course, all this is to help you realize that you're a sex junkie. It's delivered in a kind of, if you do any of the following things, you may be an alcoholic checklist. And their helpful hints include, do you cut the lining out of your bathing suit so your genitalia show through? Do you leave your fly or blouse open and pretend to hold conversations in glass telephone booths, standing so your clothes gap open with no underwear inside? Do you jog without a bra or athletic supporter in order to attract sexual partners? My answer to all the above is, well, I do now. Plus, being a pervert here is not your fault. Compulsive sexual behavior is not always about getting your dick sucked. It's a disease. It's a physical addiction, just waiting for the diagnostic statistic manual to give it a code of its own, so treatment can be billed to medical insurance. The story is, even Bill Wilson, a founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, couldn't overcome the sex monkey on his back and spent his sober life cheating on his wife, filled with guilt. The story is that sex addicts become dependent on a body chemistry created by the constant sex. Orgasms flood the body with endorphins that kill pain and tranquilize you. Sex addicts are really addicted to endorphins, not the sex. Sex addicts have lower natural levels of monoamine oxidase. Sex addicts really crave the peptide phenylethylamine that might be triggered by danger of infatuation, by risk and fear. For a sex addict, your tits, your dick, your clit, your tongue, or your asshole is a shot of heroin, always there, always ready to use. Nico and I love each other as much as any junkie loves a fix. Nico bears down hard, bucking my dog inside against the front wall of her insides, using 2 wet fingers on herself. And I say, what if that cleaning woman walks in and Nico stirs around inside herself, saying, oh yeah, that'd be so hot. Me? I can't help imagining what kind of big shining butt print we're going to polish into the wax tile. A row of sinks look down, fluorescent lights flicker, and reflected in the chrome pipes under each sink you can see Nico's throat as one long straight tube and her head's thrown back. Eyes closed, her breath panning out on the ceiling, her big flower print breasts. Her tongue hangs off to one side and the juice coming off of her is scalding hot. To keep from triggering, I say, what all did you tell your folks about us? And Nico says, oh, they want to meet you. I think about the perfect thing to say next, but it doesn't really matter. You can say anything here. Enemas, orgies, animals. Admit to any obscenity and nobody is ever surprised. In room 234, everybody compares war stories. Everybody takes their turn. It's the first part of the meeting, the check-in part. After that, they'll read the readings, the prayer things. They'll discuss the topic for the night. They'll each work on one of the 12 steps. The first step is to admit that you're powerless and that you have an addiction and you can't stop. The first step is to tell your story, all the worst parts, your lowest lows. The problem with sex is the same as with any addiction. You're always recovering. You're always backsliding and acting out. Until you find something to fight for, you settle for something to fight against. All these people who say they want a life free from sexual compulsion, forget it. What could ever be better than this? For sure, even the worst blowjob is better than, say, sniffing the best rose and watching the greatest sunset, hearing children laugh. I think that I shall never see a poem as lovely as a hot, gushing, butt-cramping, gut-hosing orgasm. Painting a picture, composing an opera. These are all just things that you do until you find the next willing piece of ass. The minute something better than sex comes along, you call me. You have me paged. None of these people in room 234 are Romeos or Casanovas or Don Juans. These aren't Mataharis or Salomes. These are people you shake hands with every day. They're not ugly. They're not beautiful. You stand next to these legends in the elevator. They serve you coffee. These mythological creatures tear your ticket stubs. They cash your paycheck. They put the communion wafer on your tongue. In the women's room inside Nico, I cross my arms behind my head. And for the next, I don't know how long, I've got no problems in the world. No mother, no medical bills, no shitty museum job, no jerk-off best friend, nothing. I feel nothing. To make it last, to keep from triggering, I tell Nico's flowered backside how beautiful she is and how sweet she is and how much I need her, her skin and hair. And to make it last, because this is the only time I can say it, because the moment this is over, we'll hate each other. The moment we find ourselves cold and sweating on the bathroom floor, the moment after we both come, we won't even want to look at each other. And the only person we'll hate more than each other is ourselves. These are the only few minutes that I can be a human being. And just for these minutes, I don't feel lonely. And riding me up and down, Nico says, "So when do I get to meet your mom?" And I say, "Never!" That's impossible, I mean. And Nico, her whole body clenched and jacking me with her boiling wet insides, she says, "She in prison or a loony bin or something?" Yeah, for a lot of her life. Ask any guy about his mom during sex and you can delay the big blast forever. And Nico says, "So she dead now or what?" And I say, "Sort of." Well, that's the end of Chapter 2 of our fine tale. And I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. Next week we'll be enjoying Chapter 3. And in the meantime, I hope that you all have lovely days full of sunshine and butterflies.